Most people think the Kruger National Park was always just there. But in 1902, it was a paper-thin idea on the verge of collapse. The man tasked with saving it was James Stevenson Hamilton, a Scottish cavalry officer who arrived with no map, no staff, and a reputation for being impossible to work with. He didn't just manage the park, he basically willed it into existence when everyone else wanted it to be a massive cattle ranch. When Stevenson Hamilton took over the Sabi Game Reserve, it was a graveyard. A century of uncontrolled hunting and the rinderpest plague had wiped out the great herds. There were no lions, no elephants, and barely any buck. The public called it a cemetery of trees. His job wasn't just to protect animals, it was to wait for them to come back. He had to convince the government to pay him to watch over a forest of ghosts. Hamilton's role was part detective, part dictator. He earned the name Skukuza, the man who sweeps clean because he spent his first decade purging the land. He evicted the ivory poachers who had ruled the area for years. He fired his own staff if they so much as looked at a trophy. But his biggest battle wasn't with poachers, it was with the mining companies and farmers. They saw the Lowveld as a gold mine or a grazing patch. Hamilton fought them in the press and in the courts for 44 years. He realized early on that if he didn't turn the reserve into a national park for the people, it would eventually be sold to the highest bidder. He was the first to realize that tourism was the only shield strong enough to stop a bulldozer. By the time he retired in 1946, the animals had returned. The 200,000 animals we see today are the direct descendants of the few survivors he protected with his life. He wasn't just a warden, he was the architect of our identity as a wild nation. This is a little more context.
Just a little more context.